What's up you guys, Keith DeMello here, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top 3 reasons why student pilots quit. Stay tuned. I must admit, it was tough in those early years as a student pilot. I almost quit. But as the saying goes, it's not how you start, but how you finish, that's what matters. So I want you to finish strong and avoid these 3 top reasons why student pilots quit. The first reason is having the wrong instructor. This point applied to myself as well as many students who have messaged me over the years. It's actually one of the most overlooked details when choosing your flight school, and arguably the most important. It's so important that I actually had to break it down further into 3 parts. First is when your goals and the instructor's goals do not align. In my case is that my instructor had just recently got hired at regional airline. And in those few months that I was paired up with that instructor, the instruction quality was very poor. You could already tell by his attitude that he had other things on his mind and he was already on his way out. So every lesson felt rushed. There was hardly any teaching, and it almost felt like each lesson was a test that I was already supposed to know the material. For example, many years later, when I became a flight instructor myself, I learned that a flight instructor before the lesson has to sit with you and do a pre-flight briefing. That is usually done in a classroom environment in front of a whiteboard where you go over the maneuvers that you're about to conduct. The instructor then goes into detail and then answer any questions that you may have. Only then, once you've understood the lesson and answered all your questions, can you actually move on to the actual airplane. Well, that didn't happen in my case. Whenever we showed up, we would go straight to the airplane and take off. We spent a lot of time just talking in the air and also a lot of money because now I'm paying for the airplane rental versus just paying for the instructor in the classroom environment. The second part to choosing the wrong instructor is personality differences. A student and instructor relationship is almost like a marriage. You want to make sure that you gel with each other. You're going to be spending many hours in close proximity. You don't have to be best friends, but you want to ensure that your personality and your instructor's vibes together. Make sure you choose a flight instructor that is easy to talk to, that understands what your needs are, and can help you along your journey. You'll always hear me stress that you should interview multiple flight instructors before you choose the one that is actually the right fit for you. And the third part about choosing the wrong flight instructor is actually your flight instructor availability. This could be your flight instructor availability or even the airplane to student availability. You want to ensure that your flight school has enough flight instructors to cover all of the students' needs. A good ratio, in my opinion, is no more than 5 to 7 full-time students assigned per instructor. So what's the solution? The solution is to always interview multiple flight instructors before you choose one. So don't be shy when interviewing flight instructors because it could literally affect your training goals. You're spending a lot of money in flight training, so you want to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success. Ask your flight instructor, what are his or her goals? Are they going to stick around a bit or are they going to move on soon? You don't want to be stuck with an instructor that's going to be moving on soon and not give you the full attention and care. Also, as you're talking to the flight instructor, see if your personalities gel, see if you get along with each other, where your communications are very easy, where it just feels like you're talking to a friend. And don't feel bad if you have to change flight instructors. Remember, this is your career we're talking about. Flight training is very expensive and you want to ensure that your flight instructor is giving you the full attention and care that you deserve. Okay, now that we've covered what a wrong flight instructor is, let's move into the second major reason why student pilots quit, and that is failing a flight test. Yes, if you let it, that could be a big discouragement. All your friends and family know that you're doing your flight training and then boom, you bomb a test. Now what? Just because you fail a test does not mean that you are a failure. Separate your flight training from your identity. Everybody makes mistakes at the beginning. Even I partialed my flight test. It was not a complete fail. It was a partial where I had to redo a couple of exercises, and that actually ate away at my confidence. I got lucky that my flight instructor then worked on building my confidence with flying, and I ended up never failing a flight test since.
Let's knock on wood and keep that record going.
If you look at some of the most successful people in the world, they all view failure as learning. Learn from your mistakes and then move on. A quick Google search will show you that some of the most famous failures in the world have become ultra successes because they didn't let failure stop them, and neither should you. And the third major reason why student pilots quit is the lack of funds. And this could easily be argued that this should be the number 1 reason why student pilots quit, but I put it as number 3 because where there's a will, there's a way. Having lack of funds doesn't actually stop you from doing your flight training. It could slow it down by many years compared to some of your peers who already have the finances, but it does not actually stop you. In my case, it took an extra 3 years to complete my flight training due to the lack of funds. I worked 2 jobs, saved up a whole bunch of money, and then did my flight training. And while I was doing my flight training, I still worked a full-time job. Trust me, if I can do it, you can as well. Now, let me give you a pro tip when it comes to your funds and your flight training. Don't make the mistake that I did, where I worked for 3 weeks, I flew for 2 weeks, ran out of money, had to work again for a few weeks, and then I ran out of money again. I think the sweet spot is to train minimum 3 times a week. I've taught students who did that, and I managed to complete them in the minimum of 45 hours required to get your private pilot's license, which is very rare. So there you go. In summary, the top 3 reasons why I think student pilots quit is number 1, having the wrong flight instructor. It could be a personality difference. It could be that the flight instructor is moving on soon, not giving you the full attention that you deserve. Or it could be that the flight instructor is just so busy with other students that they can't take care of you. The number 2 reason is that you may have failed either a flight test or a written exam, and you let that discourage you. So don't let it discourage you, because you just want to view failing as a lesson and then learn and move on from that. And 3, it could be the lack of funds. Don't let the lack of funds discourage you. You can let it slow you down because you have to gain the funds. If you're lucky, you may have someone give you a loan or provide for your flight training needs, but that's not a reason to get discouraged. So I hope this video was helpful to you. If you like this type of videos, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you next time.